Hey, what's going on? A good Tuesday afternoon to you. Welcome on into lunch with Claibs and Joe, powered by Gray Bar, driven by Mungenast St Louis Acura. And Claibs, as you can tell by the logo right behind us, that's where we are today. We ventured out in the rain today. I think I pulled up as it started to pour down. It was raining a little bit on my way over here. You were already kind of hanging out here, so you beat it as well. So now we're going to sit here and we're going to talk sports until the rain stops, I guess.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah, 13720 Manchester is where we are. You can find them online if you don't want to come out here in the rain today. It's St. Louis Acura.
I'd be car shopping online.
Yeah, and you can find everything they have there as well. And then also, hey, look who we have here to our left, Peter. If you want to come right around here and be on camera with us, everybody. It's Peter Mungenast out
Good
here.
To see y'all.
Yeah, and so what can you tell us? What because I know we've talked about the Alton Toyota location. They got a few 2025s coming in. What do you guys have out here at the Acura?
So big push right now is going to be on the MDX platform. It's been the backbone of our company for years and years, since the early 2000s.
Two of those.
Yeah, they're great cars.
Right here.
They're great cars, and you have great taste in cars.
Yeah.
So the big push, though, is they're redesigning it for 25. We're sitting on over 100 in-stock 24 units, and they are ready to go. So Acura is throwing 3.9% financing for up to 60 months, which is huge right now on every new car in stock. So any color combo, any trim level, we're going to have it on hand.
So let me ask you, they're remodeling the 25 version?
They are.
What changes do you see?
Good ask. So they're doing a mid-model year refresh. Every 6 years, they do a full redesign, and halfway through, which is what we're seeing now, they do a little bit of a facelift. So they'll change the front end design a little bit. You'll pick up some new features. They're going to improve the speaker system. We're getting a new partnership on that one. And then, gosh, I'm trying to think of what else. I think they added some new safety features as well.
Hey, one of the things that's been kind of a hot topic in the radio business is AM radio. And so some manufacturers do not install AM radios in their car. What about Acura?
So Acura, for now, we still have AM as an option.
Okay.
On the 25s, I believe they're keeping that around. We'll see when they do a full refresh next time in 28. But for the next couple of years, we're going to have AM at least.
Well, what you do, Claibs, and you can connect your phone to all these cars, which has been possible for the last few years. Then you just podcast shows like this.
That's what I do.
Yeah. The screens are really huge on all these new cars too. We don't recommend watching this live while you're driving around. Yeah.
So that's the other thing. I know some manufacturers are going more with like a gaming console as far as the screen is concerned. Is that something we're going to see with Acura?
The screens keep on getting bigger and bigger. So we used to have a small screen in the MDX, and they did 2 small screens, and they did a big wide screen, and now they made it even a couple inches bigger.
It's more panoramic now.
It's almost panoramic, exactly, yeah. So it's getting bigger and bigger.
All right. Well, we have, it's, again, stlouisacura.com if you don't want to go out in the rain today, or you can come. There's a lot of people just waiting to go show you cars and help sell you a car here right now too. So
that's right.
Now is
Thank you, sir.
You get the full service. Thank you. That's
me.
Peter Mungenast stopping by and joining us here. Claibs, I know we got baseball stuff to get to. We got NBA stuff and everything. But first, I thought you'd enjoy this story that I have. So I go out on the trails, the bike trails, the running trails out in Madison County.
You got chased by something?
I did not get chased by anything. So recently they've put up sculptures all over the place, kind of, little trying to brighten it up, trying to make a, make it a little more adventurous and whatnot. And as I'm out there doing that, I think there's 8 total of them. So as I'm out on these rides, I've been trying to find these sculptures and just kind of figure out where they are. And I saw on social media last week they put out a book about these, and I thought it was going to be a map of what they were and where I could find them. So I put in for it. It was free.
Yeah.
Claibs, it's a coloring book. They sent me a coloring book. It's a child's activity book that I
keep the kid occupied while you're in the back seat somewhere.
That's
that's
why
it was free.
Yeah, I was looking forward to it, to kind of go out there and find all these this summer and just kind of make for longer rides on the bike and everything. And I ordered a coloring book.
But it was free. Look at it that way.
So I got something to do with the late night Cardinal games.
Did crayons come with it?
They did not. No, I'm gonna have to go dig through some of Hudson's stuff, see if he's got some coloring pencils and whatnot, and get to work on it. I'll let you know next week how the progress is going on that.
Why don't you bring it with you next week?
Yeah. It'll be be something else we could do on Weekend Joe outside of the food reviews and whatnot. Did you catch that episode yet?
I have not.
No?
I have some catching up to do tonight. This is kind of a hectic weekend, and I didn't get a chance to do a lot.
I know it's your site and everything, but I mean, it's an Oreo review. We reviewed the new flavor of Oreos on the show. Yeah.
Who's doing the movie with the Seinfeld movie?
Seinfeld movie?
No, it's some comedian is doing a movie about cookies or some sort of snack.
No. Netflix has a new show, Unfrosted. I have Jerry Seinfeld is on it. The cast of it is huge. I haven't watched it yet, but the cast of it is supposed to be incredible. And I guess it has to do with like General Mills versus Kellogg or something like that, and kind of the cereal wars from back in the day. I haven't watched it
I wasn't
yet.
a cereal guy, so it's kind of all Greek to me.
Have you watched the Tom Brady roast yet?
I have. So I went to see Nikki Glazer the week before she did that, and she kind of gave us a kind of hint on what this is going to look like. I enjoyed it. I understand Brady didn't go to the after party because he was that pissed off.
You got to know what you're getting into.
No, I don't think they see. You got to remember something. These guys have never sat through one of these before. Think about it.
But nobody gave him a heads up. Well, all the people that he has in his camp said, "Hey, nothing's off limit."
How many of those people know what a roast is like? Okay, we've gone about 20 years without having legit roast like they used to have. So
it hasn't been 20. I mean, like the Comedy Central ones they used to do.
Yeah, but they weren't even close to this one. What we saw with the Brady thing, and all bets were off, and obviously he signed off on it.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm sure he made a good amount of money for it.
Well, between that and they raised money for a couple of charities also, but I know somebody who went and just the look on people's faces when they got past Kevin Hart was like, oh shit. And apparently the look on Brady's face when they weren't cutting to him, they was like, what did I sign up for?
Yeah.
And
it was 3. So I've only watched half of it right now. It's 3 hours, and I got through about half of it, and it was 9-10 o'clock, and I was like, all right, I can watch the rest. I'm going to come back and watch the rest of it, but I got past the Nikki Glazer part.
Yeah, she was very good.
Mm-hmm.
And her style was perfect for that kind of thing. But I commend the other writers who gave other people material.
Mm-hmm.
You really think Bill Belichick wrote his own stuff?
No.
And there's some other people who didn't. They may have added some things, but for the most part, the writers for that, they must have had some kind of green light.
Drew Bledsoe was pretty good. For a guy that we've kind of forgotten about, honestly, and they brought him back into that. He was pretty good.
I didn't think anybody was bad.
So Randy Moss didn't.
Well, he was a little uneven. Yeah. He was a little uneven.
Yeah.
The material was good. His delivery is something, But I thought overall, I didn't think anybody bombed. I thought everybody came in and they kind of made me laugh out loud. I'm not one that laughs a lot out loud at comedians. And
halfway through, I mean, there's a lot of times where I'm just like, Jesus, I couldn't believe what they said. Things that they.
But somebody I know who's associated with it said Brady wanted nothing to do with the after party, and I think everything. I mean, I don't know why not. Everything was already said. It wasn't. But here's the thing: you got to go up. Everybody's going to come up to you and want to talk to you about what a good sport. I can't believe you did that. So I think he just called time out. So I'm going home. I don't recall the actual numbers that it did from this, but I know it's a success. They're talking about doing more. Well, I would imagine. I mean, I could see. So that was around the whole Netflix as a joke festival, a whole like a Lollapalooza of comedy that they've been doing the last few years out in LA. And so it's nice to have that big featured event to showcase. You can only pull off one of those a year. Oh no, absolutely. That's a once a year. Yes, it's an annual event. Yeah, it'd be like and you get the biggest of big names. Yeah, writers' dinner. Mm-hmm. Where you do it once a year. You have a chance to plan. You can select your talent and make sure their schedule is clear. And I'm sure people will be wanting to get on that schedule. And so. You also do this. Netflix also does this because they have been venturing into, I think it was a good experiment into their live broadcast, their live event broadcast, because that was all done live. Yeah.
And the next big thing that they're going to have coming up here in 2 months is the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight.
Right.
And that is going to do incredible numbers live on Netflix for that.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes into them wanting
just a matter of
to
time before they're part of the NBA or the
Yeah.
NFL.
they want to get into sports.
Yeah.
They already WWE is coming there in
By the way, did you go
2025.
to the deal down to Enterprise?
UFC, no.
Yeah. I ran into Dana White Friday night
Yeah.
and almost went. But I took a pass and I watched some of it.
I was going to say that's more, I mean, depending on where you, because the octagon is so small. I've never been to a UFC fight. I've been to
a couple of them when they first got off the ground, because the guy who used to be he was the commissioner for the boxing commission in Vegas, was one of the first guys that walked away and got involved in that. And it's I mean, I used to say, if I want to see that, I can go to any parking lot, in Illinois at 3:00 in the morning, see somebody get their ass beat like that. But I mean, there's a place for it. I'm of the belief that most people don't mind watching a good fight, and I'm one of them, as long as I'm not in it.
right.
Then we got a whole new game. But
It's nice to have the referee there to stop it though when it gets out of hand, and you're not finding that in the parking lot of the Oz.
no.
Nope.
maybe the EMS people,
Right.
They mop you up, but but I think that it's certainly here to stay. They had a pretty good crowd. They didn't sell it out, but
They said it was the largest gate for the
Well,
UFC fight night.
Well, the thing is, it was the first time they've been here in like 6
Yeah.
years. And it's something about St. Louis, man. When you think about whether it's the football team, the Battle Hogs, or any other wrestling, as you well know, St. Louis was a show up for it. It may not
the
be.
gymnastics, the Olympics,
Yeah.
the gymnastics a few
Exactly.
years ago.
Yeah, I mean, we support the golf, the
Yeah.
senior event. We show up for events other than baseball and hockey, and it's a real tip of the cap to people in St. Louis who show up to these events and support them. And you name a sport that has failed here. When you think about it, and I'm not including the Rams because that was more of a business deal
Right.
than the fact that they didn't draw people.
And it's a central location. You look at how many different cities are 4 or 5 hours away
Yeah.
that you could drive to. So you're getting other larger cities that are able to drive in
Yeah.
for the weekend, for a night. And then that kind of adds into the entire metropolitan area that's coming in. So it makes it easy
I
for
agree.
that day trip
I
too.
agree.
So it is a nice central location to have. Be nice if you had the facilities that could support that, and the renovations that need to be made or that we're told are going to be getting made to the convention center and the dome. But now I guess that Rams money is going towards potholes.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'd rather get potholes fixed, unless part of that revenue. See, I'm not a big advocate on financing another stadium. I'm not a big advocate on putting sports first. I always felt, and I was one of few that disagree with the whole Rams thing, although I'm glad it was here. You get more room nights, hotel room nights, more people spending money on a 5,000 person convention than you would the whole football season. And
that's why-
where the tax money should go. Now, I think that if you've driven through St. Louis like I have, I think you'd say, you need some potholes fixed and you need to get your infrastructure straightened out as far as the sewer system and all of that, because it's dated and we haven't done anything. But I think a portion should go to rehab in the convention center. I don't think there's any doubt, because that's where you make your money. You don't make money off of football. You make money off the convention center.
What is the next big event coming to town? Is there another big sporting event coming here soon?
Well, in the UFL's championship.
Yeah.
game,
I'm
I'm sure you'll be at that, right?
I have not looked into what date that is yet. Do
Isn't it
you
in
know? Is it in?
I think it's in June.
I got a busy June. I got a lot of
Well,
youth
I
baseball
don't know how
going
they're
on,
gonna
and
get
that's
along without you being there.
and I haven't been to a game yet this year. I believe the Battlehawks have lost one game this year. I feel
They
like
lost Saturday.
did they lose? Okay, and they lost
to
twice.
Birmingham.
It really feels like
But I think they're close to getting the playoff spot, though. I haven't had a chance to follow them as close. I just happened to watch a little bit of the game on a Saturday.
I feel like the marketing for it this year has gone down compared to what it's been in the first few years of it. Since the merger, I feel like hasn't been as in your face as it was in recent years.
That's a good point. I think that's I think they kind of wanted to see how this was going to work before they start pumping a lot of money. Yeah. But you know, if you're them, you say, why would we put money in St. Louis? They don't show up anyway.
St. Louis is the only one that's showing up.
Okay, so that's
I mean, St. Louis is
maybe they're doing more in other markets.
Because they're getting 6,000. They're getting 6,000 in other markets, 4,000, 6,000. They're getting 30,000
They
plus.
had 14,000 allegedly at the game in Birmingham last week. But you know, I don't know what a marketing plan, and I don't know what their philosophy is. I think they're trying to keep the cost at a minimum by having everybody train in one central location. But you know, at the end of the day, you know, somebody's showing up.
And if that keeps them around, and this is year 2 now of this, since they've rebooted it after COVID, this is the first time that the XFL, that the spring football's made it more than 1 year. When you look at, XFL back in the 90s, late 90s, went 1 year, one and done. Because of COVID, that year went one and done. So they're in year 2 now of this. So
but I envision this being more of a feeder league for the NFL. I mean, the quality of players is going to get better. You know, the rules are similar. I think this is a great way for the NFL to experiment, have some experimental rules be implemented in the UFL to see how that would work, you know, for the NFL down the road. So there's a place for it. And so, you know, if people want to show up for it, then good for them. I'm probably not going to have a chance to go, but that doesn't mean somebody else doesn't have a chance.
I'd have to look at when it is, but have not considered it yet. When it was first announced, I said, "Oh, okay, maybe." If the Battlehawks are playing in it, okay, then we'll see if that's if that happens. Hey, let's take a break here, and when we come back, we will finally get into some Cardinal talk and other MLB news and notes right here on Lunch with Claibs and Joe. We are powered by Gray Bar, driven by Mungenast St Louis Acura, our home here today for the lunch show.
Let me get this straight. Gray Bar is a distributor?
Yep. For more than 150 years, we supported electrical and datacom projects all over the country.
So you can get me products wherever and whenever I need them?
Yep. Thanks to our expansive national logistics network.
For any industry?
Yep. From construction sites and industrial plants to schools, hospitals, and just about everything in between.
So you could say Gray Bar is much more than a distributor?
Yep, you could say that.
They really do it all.
Yep. When you need a hand powering, connecting, or maintaining your operations, join the thousands of professionals who rely on Gray Bar to help keep them up and running. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Are you ready for a challenging and rewarding career? There are quality jobs in the construction industry.
I got out of college and my career choices were very limited, and this provided me with a plan for the present and the future at the same time.
I actually have a bachelor's degree in psychology, and I was making less than I make as a first-year apprentice painter.
I didn't go to college. I have no college debt. I make more money than the majority of people I know that went to college.
Take your first step towards a rewarding career. Visit stlouispdf.org.
Back here at Lunch with Claibs and Joe, we are coming to you live from Mungenast St Louis Acura. 13720 Manchester Road is where we are. The rain is coming down. And if you don't want to come out here in the rain, check out stlouisacura.com and see all of the new
Nice case, I tell you what, I'll feel
I got a nice case. I got a nice case on there. So it's
anyway, Joe just dropped his phone. We're going to talk about a little baseball. NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs.
Thank you.
WNBA starts tonight.
It does. Had that on my list. Left all my notes and everything on the printer. So
I'm looking forward to it. I'm not as rabid about it as some, because you know most of the people who are doing all the talking about it couldn't name 4 teams in the league.
Yeah, right. There's 2 more coming.
Yeah, but I get it. It's great for the league. It's great for the women who play, and it's just something else for us to do. And as I told you, I like the way they play. I mean, they go up and down, but as far as running offenses and doing things and scoring points, it's a good product, and I'm happy for them.
I will. I might check it out tonight. See what is Caitlin Clark playing tonight?
She's playing tonight. Okay. But here's the deal. When they get to the playoffs, I mean, I'll really turn it up, but I got NBA and NHL going tonight, and Cardinals. So I don't know if I'm gonna get to her tonight. Maybe you know what? You got the remote. You
multiple TV setup. You got that going?
It ain't that serious. No, it's not. I mean,
I got a 2 TV setup.
I do too.
I mean,
I do too, but it's not one that going to be riveted to Caitlin Clark in the first game. I hope it goes well. I know they sold out the place, but I wonder whether we'll get a better number tonight. Caitlin Clark playing or the Indiana Pacers playing the Knicks. They're both playing at the same time.
That'd be real rough for the Pacers to not playoff game to not get a bigger draw. I mean, Indiana though, so basketball is king there. Let's talk Cardinals though. Let's get into some Cardinal stuff. They win last night. Was that the first time they batted around this year?
To my recollection, it is.
That's what I thought too. So first time they batted around.
That may have been one game early, but I think this is the most impressive one. Let's
Right.
put it that way.
And they just did it little dinks and dunks in the outfield too with
As John Rooney would say, they kept the line moving.
They did.
Now, I know some will say, well, they played the Angels, who were worse than the Cardinals, which is true. We said the same thing about the White Sox.
We did.
I just think this has a different look to it. And I thought the game on Sunday was probably the biggest game of the year, because now you're talking about losing 8 in a row and falling double digits back in the standings.
4-game sweep to a division opponent.
Yeah. So a team that you don't play that much after this, so you have all those things working against you.
Do you think, I mean, if they lose on Sunday, are there changes made? I mean, was that like could you say there's a big win, a big pivot? I mean, what?
Yeah, I've seen this a few times with other teams where when you start a losing streak, we got to fire somebody. Let's fire the hitting coach. I remember one year the Brewers fired the bullpen catcher or the bullpen coach. Seriously. They
wasn't answering the phone quick enough?
I don't know what was going on, but, you always want to throw it on a coach. And I'm not sure if people understand what these people do every day. Fire the manager. Yeah, okay. Now, I guess it's the manager's fault. You're your best player. Allegedly, your best player was 0 for 29. I don't know what. Oh, you want to fire him because he kept putting him in the lineup? Oh, I didn't know we had, Keith Hernandez coming up. And that's the problem. If you had options, I think you would have seen some changes.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have any options. What are you going to bring, Luke and Baker up?
It's Jordan Walker. I mean, you follow it closer than I do. I was looking at his numbers last week of what he was doing. It seems like he's hitting the ball hard. He's still not getting results.
He's not hitting for power. He's hitting it harder, obviously, but not for a guy his size that you expect to produce.
Not far, not in the gaps. He's hitting a lot of hard singles.
No, exactly. And we don't need that. Well, we need we need runs.
Yeah.
But not to fit the bill of people. Now, could you say, is he better than Dylan Carlson right now? Yeah, maybe so. But Dylan Carlson's still trying to figure it out. I mean, so you're just not getting any productivity. But to your original point, I'm just not sure what the next step would have been or will be. I mean, okay, they won 2 in a row. What happens if they lose 2 in a row? And then they come home and Boston beats them. I mean, so you're not out of the woods. But, again, I don't know what plan B looks like. If you had a manager who was making costly mistakes, whether it was positioning or lineup or things of that nature, then you could kind of look at it. But again, it's kind of like last year. He didn't have a lot of options.
And that's something.
Then you without your one of your best offensive players in Contreras. I don't consider Tommy Edman a factor with regard to why this team hasn't played well. Maybe he's better defensively than Michael Ciani. I doubt it. Well, Ciani's played well defensively. But
just snapped an 8-game hitting streak yesterday, too.
But the thing is, you just don't have a lot of resources to choose from in order to make this team better, because had they had more resources, we would have seen them by now.
I want to circle back to Wilson Contreras in a second, but with Paul Goldschmidt, you mentioned the 0 for 29. He had the home run on Sunday, had another base hit yesterday, 4 hits in the last 3 games, but still the average is under 200.
199.
Still batting third in the lineup. As Rammer and I have talked about his placement in the lineup and just where his production has been the last several months. You're dating back to last year with that. He's not a number 3 hitter right now. He's more of a 6-7 guy. But on the Cardinals' current roster, when you look at the way some of the other guys are hitting, there's not 6 above him that you could put in front too. So that's
again, I go back to who would you play?
Exactly.
Who would you hit third? And there's a lot of debate about hitting guys. Some people think Mason Wynn should be up in order. Some people think Brendan Donovan should be a 2-hitter. I mean, you're going to get different suggestions from a lot of different people, but there must be a legitimate reason on why they do it in that manner that maybe we're not privy to.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to talk out of school here, but I just think that there's a lot of times where information is not readily available to us on why certain things take place. But with that said, I'm open for suggestions. If you got a better 3-hitter or a guy who's proven to be a 3-hitter, I'd like to meet him.
And that's they went into the year. They wanted Lars Nootbaar to be that 3-hitter between Goldschmidt and Arenado.
Then they wanted
right now
Gorman.
he's hitting. Yeah, right now he's hitting second, and he's under 200.
He's looking at too many strikes.
You have Gorman was your opening day number 3 hitter. He's hitting under 200. No. I mean, anywhere you look at it, seems like guys are hitting under 200.
I agree.
And now the last 2 games, we see Matt Carpenter come back and healthy. You're putting him back in the leadoff spot where he once thrived as a leadoff hitter, but we haven't seen that production in several years. It's kind of just like at this point, who else are you going to put there? Kind of situation. You're going, okay, you know what? He did it once before. He's healthy. Let's exactly. I'm not advocating for it. I don't get it either.
Is, and I haven't talked to Ali about it, and I hope to this Friday. But when it comes to him, the plus is he can see a lot of pitches. So does Brendan Donovan. To give everybody else a tell on what this guy has that particular night. But when you put him in that position, he's a station-to-station ball player. Mm-hmm. He's not going first at third. He's not stealing a base. And this team needs to find other ways to generate offense because sitting on waiting on a 3-run homer is not something we're going to see.
It's you're hoping he doubles, and that puts him in scoring position.
At one point he had 55 in 1 year, but
that was what
16 years ago.
15, 16 around there. Yeah, that's
so. There's a lot of things that he used to do really well that we keep thinking is going to reappear, and I haven't seen a reason why we should think that way.
So what are the legit options? Because you could throw names out there. I mean, Mason Wynn is that guy that a lot of people will suggest. He's hitting, I think, as of last night, was 275 around there. 283. He had a good night. We went 2 for 4 or 3. He had a good night last night.
Here's the thing. I understand if you keep Wynn at the bottom, because he's going to be on base with some guys that can drive him in, which should be able to drive him in. I mean, you're talking about the 1 and 2 hitters in some cases can drive him in compared to being at the top, because I think the whole game changes with regard to him trying to get on base and stealing a base compared to being at the bottom of the order, where if he gets on base, somebody's going to put one in the gap or hit it over the fence. At least that's what the game plan appeared to be. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily the case as we speak. So how do you fix that? I think you have to be creative with the lineup. And I think for the most part, between finding matchups and just trying to play the hot guy, I think Ali's done a pretty good job of trying to do both. The problem is the guys that you think are going to be hot or the guys who've had matchup success haven't been able to do it as much as you would like for them to.
You mentioned Tommy Edman a couple times already. What are
I
you?
haven't heard anything.
Okay.
This is the same Tommy Edman that A, we didn't know had surgery in October. B, was when we found out in January that he'd be ready for spring training. Well, spring training's come and gone. We've passed Mother's Day, and I know he's hitting off a tee, but we don't know how long that's going to take and if there's going to be a setback or two. And after that, he's got to go out on assignment. We don't know how long that's going to take. So I don't have any concrete evidence, but I have to think it's going to be at least another couple of weeks.
When you have a situation like this with Tommy Edman, and you mentioned it a few times that you had no idea that he was hurt. What does this do for the future of a player like that in the in this organization?
He's got 2-year contract, so whatever. That's the other thing. You signed him to a 2-year deal, and he was hurt or somewhere around that time. So he's got some security. He'll be unrestricted when this deal is up. Is he a guy that you could have put in a deal? I don't know. I mean, we thought we had some pretty competent outfielders that were going to be on the scene, but that hasn't worked out to the level we thought. So I'm not sure what his status is going to be.
You mentioned a deal right now. Cardinals 7 games back under 500 as of right now. Who are you looking at that is available? I guess that they could part ways with. Who is valuable on this team to get stuff in return?
You know what? I think everybody's open for business. I mean, with the exception of Wynn, because you don't have a shortstop and the organization's close.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody's expendable.
Contreras untouchable?
Yeah. I mean, he was an untouchable when he was a free agent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the final year, so I don't know. Now, coming off a broken forearm, here's the thing that, we talk about. One of the names is Goldschmidt.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the problem. He's a 5 and 10 guy,
mm-hmm.
so he has to okay it. Secondly, he's unrestricted. So
Mm-hmm.
why am I going to give you a ton for a guy that I can get on the market?
Right.
Now, if I want to load up, and if you want one of my top prospects, then I got to think about that, because am I renting him, or do I really think he can help us the following year? So I think that's one of the biggest misnomers we have that we hear discussed. Arenado's got a no trade in his deal, but then who wants to take on $35 million
right
for the next 3 years? So that market's limited. So I don't know if you have as many attractive pieces as you think, because of the contractual issue, and obviously the skill level isn't what you would hope for it to be.
We haven't talked since the Wilson Contreras injury that happened. Was it last Tuesday night at Busch Stadium? First of all, what you saw, I mean, you're there in the stadium watching it on TV. It just looked devastating to see, and to see his reaction outside of the dugout after that too. What was that like, being there in the stadium when it happened?
It was serious. I mean, we've seen him take some wicked foul balls and some other things, but you could tell this was a little different. And I said it's broken, because nobody rides in pain like that on a stinger. So I guess, and then he went and had surgery the next day.
Yeah. Okay. When he went down into the clubhouse still in full gear, everything's still on, that was kind of my tell as to this is real bad. Because if it was just a hurting a little bit, like, you at least take off the chest and have somebody help you. When he went in fully geared up, that's was my first.
And we're gonna see more of that.
That's been a big talking point.
I talked about in spring training. First of all, I'm not a proponent of this for 2 reasons. One, we see the result because catchers have to be closer to the hitter. And we see more guys get hit with a backswing this year. We've seen more catcher interference. I believe we're on course for 153 catcher interference calls this year.
Used to be like once every 800 games, and now it's like once every 30 games.
It's crazy. And here's the other thing. You show me 5 guys that can throw from one knee with any sort of accuracy, let alone force. There just aren't that many guys who can do it. So are we trading a strike for a stolen base? Are we trading a strike for putting a guy in scoring position?
And how much of this changes if they go to
they go to ABS?
umpires?
They won't need it. And I had this conversation with someone who's reasonably high up, and I roll that out, and they were like, well, it's going to be a difference maker in how you evaluate the position. Are you looking for catch and throw now? Are you looking for a guy with more pop that, you can convert? There's a lot of different things that are going to change this position from now on. And if you're not preparing your catchers right now in the minor leagues, then you're going to miss the boat on this. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what catching coordinators have been able to envision what this looks like in 3 years or 4 years. But if you don't have guys who can catch and throw, because now that's going to be a weapon to shut down the running game. So the mechanics are going to be taught differently. There'll be no need to be on one knee. So how the game is taught from this point on at that position is something I'm anxious to see.
What's the process to get the automated balls and strikes?
I think they were trying to work out the kinks with regard to the way it's set up 3D wise, where if balls skip or whatever through that zone is a strike. I think that at some point, once they iron most of the things out, then it'll be up to the home plate umpire to use common sense on a strike or a ball because of maybe some technical mishap. You're going to still need an umpire behind the plate, and he's still going to have to be able to enforce balls and strikes if this thing goes south. Now, the other issue they've been talking about is the challenge system, where you get X amount of challenges a game to dispute a strike. So my question is this: who makes that call, the hitter or the dugout? And how many of them do you get, and how long is it going to take to reevaluate it?
Well, from what we've seen in the minors and the leagues that have tried it, it seems to be a pretty quick process of, hey, challenge that. Okay, that was the call, and it's done.
Yeah,
and it seems to be about a 3 to 5 second process.
Well, my thing is this: get it right and be quick about it. That's all I want. You know, when you look at the game and how it's changed so much in the last few years, where because of technology and inferior officiating, and every sport's going through it. It's not just baseball. I mean, there's some bad umpires out here. There's some awful NHL referees. The NBA doesn't know what a foul is anymore, let alone traveling or palming the ball. So it's a shortage for 3 reasons. One, their shelf life is of really being good is shorter than the lifespan of their career. The second thing is, these guys work a lot. And, when you think about how many games an umpire works or an NHL or NBA official works, and as much work, and they're the ones that never come off the field or the ice or the court. Physically, it wears you down. And then let's face it, there just aren't enough good ones out there, period. And I mean, it's like there's not enough good pitching in baseball. There's not enough good goaltending in hockey. There's not enough, guys who can rebound or shoot the 3 in the NBA. I mean, all sports are lacking something.
Yeah, and even with the reviews, we've seen NBA reviews seem to take forever. And I've seen twice in the last few weeks baseball reviews that seems like they go to New York with it and they still get it wrong. The Cubs Nationals game to end it at the play at home, that looked like they got it very wrong. And then the play with Harrison Bader at third in St. Louis last week. Also, you're watching it and you're just wondering, what are they seeing?
Here's what I'm going to tell you, and it's good question. I've been to the replay center for both Major League Baseball and the NBA. And it's a room full of TVs, monitors, and they have angles that you don't see on TV. And those are the ones that are making the decisions because of the way the ballparks and the rinks and everywhere is wired. We only see the TV feed. They have their own set of cameras that gives them a different look than what we're accustomed to seeing. And that's where I think when people get upset by what they see on the replay, on the scoreboard or at home, that's because they're going by something that they have another angle from, and they can superimpose it. I mean, to the point where they can tell you, the length of your shoelaces. I mean, it's that technical where you don't really, when they show it and they kick it back to whatever the facility is, they probably have it right because of the angle that we don't see.
Also in baseball this weekend, Paul Skeens made his major league debut in Pittsburgh for the Pirates against the Cubs. Did you watch?
I did watch some of that, and I was watching him pitch, and I'm just trying to figure out what date on the calendar we're going to schedule him for Tommy John.
Rammer and I talked about that yesterday.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I made an appointment viewing on Saturday. Yeah. I made sure I was in front of the TV at 3:00 to watch him pitch for how hyped he is, and I watched that, and I watched the multiple pitches that he has in his arsenal, and then you just see 101 after 101 after 101 popping on the gun, and you just know that at some point we're going to get that image of him walking off the field with a trainer with his arm wrapped, and it sucks that that's where we are now with this.
It's interesting. All those guys that we've seen do that. The only guy that didn't get caught with Tommy John was the guy that we all started watching, and that's Aroldis Chapman. He was the first guy that consistently threw 100, and he never had any elbow issues, and he never had Tommy John. But everybody else, and I think it comes from this. I don't know if it's just the Tommy John. I think it's the fact that these guys want to throw so many other pitches, and I think that's part of the problem as well. But it's just a matter of time. I hate to say it about him because he seems like a prospect that can certainly help that organization. But it's going to happen. It's just too much evidence to say that it won't.
And before that happens, though, I know Pirates coming to St. Louis in a couple weeks. Hopefully it's his turn in the rotation one of those days.
Listen, they're quietly putting together a pretty good.
Is it Jared? Is it Jared Young, Jared Jones? They have another kid in that rotation too. That's been pretty lights out.
They're quietly putting together a pretty good run of pitching and young talent.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens with them in the next 2 years.
Mm-hmm. So we will we'll take another break here on Lunch with Claibs and Joe. We are coming to you from Mungenast St Louis Acura here at 13720 Manchester Road. Claibs, we're also brought to you by the MAC.
The MAC, the Missouri Athletic Club. It's the place to be, whether it's for your family or for your corporate events or whatever you want to do. They have great workout facilities at both locations. You think about the fact that the MAC has been around for so long. They've been around for a reason. They even have a hotel. I mean, so if you have people who come in and watch a Cardinal game and you can't find a room, if you're a member, you can take care of them. They have golf to offer you on both sides of the river. And there's just a lot of other amenities at the MAC in both locations, the one downtown and certainly the one out just off of 40 or 270 in West County. And there may be another one on the way. You just never know. But my point being this, go online and check them out. They've got a great new app that you might be able to log on and download as well. But overall, when you look at what they've been able to do for so many years, for so many people, the MAC might be the next step for you.
Back in just a bit here on Lunch with Claibs and Joe.
Lars Nootbaar, break out the tape measure. Lars Nootbaar, my goodness. I'm a superpower. Yeah. Stand tall. Yeah, great strength from within me. Work hard till I die to the top, take it with me. No heights in my greatness. Now I'm free from the limits, I can fly like I'm weightless.
Back here on Lunch with Claibs and Joe. Final few minutes of the show today. Once we're done with this, Claibs, Rammer, and I are doing daily cards at about 1 o'clock today. Benji Molina is going to jump on with us from L.A.
Benji's throwing out the first pitch tonight, if I'm not mistaken.
He is.
Hey, Benji's a World Series champion because of that, being with the Angels. And one of my favorite people, just a great attitude and great approach about how the game is, and I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to say.
I believe he hit a cycle when he was with. Did he hit a cycle when he was with the Angels, or was that with the Rangers?
It's kind of hard to believe he would have a cycle.
He
but
does
I
have.
believe,
He does have a cycle.
I believe it was the Angels.
I know that he does have. He has a cycle, and yeah. So
he's got to be the fastest Molina.
You think so?
Well, I know who's the slowest.
He hit it with the Rangers, by the way. July 16th, 2010, he hit a cycle for them.
Okay.
You think the outfielder fell?
Something had to happen. Slip, fall, sun got in his eyes. Something. Ask him how that happened. I'm anxious to hear how he ended up with a triple.
Yeah. So yeah, he'll be on with me and Rammer coming up about 1 o'clock today. Daily Cards Live is where you can find that. If you aren't able to watch live, podcast it later. NBA, NHL playoffs. So you have all this stuff coming up. You have NHL, NBA playoffs tonight. You mentioned WNBA. You have a full slate of baseball games on the schedule tonight. So there will be plenty to watch this evening. Whatever you are in the mood for, you can find it tonight. NBA, I know tonight it is.
Knicks are in trouble. It's been
2-2 series. It's a 2-2 series.
But you know what? I don't think they can win back in Indianapolis, and because here's the reason why: they're hurt. They have three real contributors to their team that's not going to be available to them. They're just short. They played Alec Burks the other night, and I'm amazed that Thibodeau wouldn't play him more because he can score. He's never been known to guard anybody, but at this point, you better try and find some offense. It's been a good series. I think the Cleveland Boston series that's a wrap. Cleveland just doesn't have enough, and when Mitchell went down, it was like, okay, this is over with. The West, that's been fun, man.
Timberwolves Nuggets has been the most fun series.
There's no doubt. But I'll tell you this: that Oklahoma City game last night was must-watch TV, and I know Shaq caught some heat by saying that Joker probably didn't deserve being MVP. I agree with him. If you haven't seen SGA play and see the impact he has on what's considered the best team in the West, including Denver, then you're missing out. This guy can do everything. Nothing against Joker, okay? I think he's got a little bit more talent around him, and I think that helps. But I think this Oklahoma City series is a whole lot of fun. But to your point about Dallas and
Denver and Minnesota,
Denver and Minnesota, that's been a game of adjustments from one basket to the other, and how they're defending each other. And
home team hasn't won a game yet.
Yeah, and that's not surprising because those two teams played well on the road all year. But one of the things that we got to figure out what the rules are now, because this 2 dribble, throw my shoulder into you, 2 more dribbles, throw my shoulder so I can get some working room, or now everybody's got the forearm extended to give themselves room. We got to figure out what a foul is now, because I'm not sure what it is anymore. And Joker's guilty of it. There's a couple other guys in the league that are getting away with it, and they got to figure something out because it's a bad habit. It's going to be a problem down the road. NHL, this Boston-Florida series, I think Florida's the best team out there. I mean, they are deep. They have good goaltending. They roll 4, and they play a heavy game like the Blues do. And I know that everybody talks about Matthew Tkachuk and the other guy, Reinhardt, but I think Alexander Barkov is one of the best players in the game.
Marchand playing tonight for the Bruins?
I hope, because, he got cheap shotted. But you know what, for a guy who's made a living at doing it, but they're still short. They just don't have enough good players. And now what does that mean for Jim Montgomery? I don't know. I think Jim Montgomery's a good coach, and he's proven it. But, Boston fans are a little impatient. They think they're a better team. They think this is 2019. They should win the cup. It's not 2019. So I'm not sure what happens there. I know this. Toronto better hire a coach, because if they don't and they let go of Montgomery, I can think of one guy that might be interested in that job.
Who's that?
Craig Berube. Had dinner with him the other night. He's getting some calls. I know Toronto's obviously a team. Don't overlook New Jersey. New Jersey's not that far away from being what you would call a legitimate contender. And if Boston lets Montgomery go, they got to kick the tires on Berube.
Blues stick with their head coach. They removed the interim tag from Bannister on the after the season. They had a better record than better winning percentage than Berube had during his time there. Still a bad season for the Blues, but
neither one of them in the playoffs.
Yeah, so kind of kicking. It seemed like the rumors out there were they were kind of kicking the tires on Joel Quenneville again.
Here's what's going on here. First of all, they don't have enough good players. Secondly, the players they think are good aren't ready to play in the National Hockey League. So the question would be, why would you spend $3, $4, $5 million on a coach when you don't have enough players for him to coach? So I think the 2-year deal basically says it's going to take us 2 years to be consistently good. Now, if Drew Bannister can be part of that, then hooray for us. If he doesn't take him to the next level, then that's when you go look for an established guy. Now, I don't know if that's Joel Quenneville at 67 years old at that point.
Right.
But then again, when you look around this league, there's a lot of retreads, man. I mean,
there's also a lot of controversy around Quenneville right now too.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's going to come out of this. I mean, he's been down for 3 years. So I think he'll survive. I think he's in a great position because he'll be able to pick a team. But Todd McClellan again. I mean, how many more teams does he have to be in?
Right.
Before we realize he can't win the big one.
Yeah. Tonight you mentioned WNBA gets their start. I have seen, so I don't watch SportsCenter in the morning. It's on at the gym, and I see kind of the headlines. And I've seen multiple times now headlines questioning Caitlin Clark. Will Caitlin Clark be able to perform? Like they're already she hasn't played a game yet, a regular season game yet in the NBA. She is one of the greatest scorers that we have ever seen in basketball. And they are already, SportsCenter is already trying to make it a debatable thing as whether or not she will be good at the next level.
I think she will. They make it seem like Caitlin Clark is some like scrawny little girl. She's put together. I mean, physically, it's a much more physical sport. But I don't think she's going. Now, is she going to score 35 a night? Probably not. They'll have some good players to defend her, but that team is still trying to grow. Aaliyah Boston is a young lady they drafted last year. She gives them size up front. I'm disappointed in the coverage on both sides of this. She's a good player, and I think we would agree on that. Is she a savior? I don't know. I think this league was moving in a good direction. Now she's giving them exposure, but you have a lot of haters, man. You have a lot of haters on both sides of this. Some want her to do well, and they force it down your throat, and other people want to throw it up because they don't want to be forced. They don't want to force on them. And it's unfortunate she has to be in the middle of this. And let's play the race card here too. I mean, that's an issue that nobody wants to talk about because there have been other players that have come through this league that have been really good, but everybody puts their arm around Caitlin Clark. And you know what? I got no problem with it because I'm looking for a good player. I know someone mentioned the other day, could this be the revisiting of Bird and Magic?
With her and Angel Reese?
Yeah.
It'd be good for the league.
It'd be good for the league. There's no doubt about it. But let's let them play first.
Yeah.
Let them, I think she's going to have a really good career. I think that's a good organization to come through at the right time because they've had some good draft choices over the last 2 or 3 years, and she'll fit right in. My question is she going to play in the Olympics? It's a lot of basketball for one person in 1 year.
That'd be a dream team, though, they could put together.
Yeah. Listen, I like the women's team better than I like the men's team.
I mean, whoever the women's team whoever they put, they're going to win every game by about 80. It's
some of those leagues, some of those countries have gotten better. But to your point, I'd say 70. Now there's some countries that have really improved because as much as they have taken the American brand and really refined it. This year, speaking of the American brand, there's a good chance we won't have an American drafted in the first 5 picks of the NBA draft.
It's been that way a lot recently.
Not like this year, because first of all, this is a crappy year for the draft.
When's the last? I mean,
the fact that
they were saying the last American MVP,
kid,
like the last American MVP in the NBA. It's been how many years has it been since that?
Would you have to go back to Steph Curry?
There was one before him, but I saw this the other day because they were talking about with now you have the kid in San Antonio that he's probably going to win a few, but you have it's been a while for that, so it's changing on the men's side.
Yeah, but here's the problem. I know I was going to ask you. Did you see where they finally measured LeBron's kid?
No. But I saw that he's ready for the NBA.
Well,
he's ready for the draft.
Well, so they list him at USC at 6'4" or 6'5", 6'1" and a half is what he actually is.
I mean, he's going to get drafted.
By who?
Whoever wants whoever wants his dad.
Okay, who wants his dad?
Whoever wants to sell tickets.
See, I don't think he's the draw that you may think at this point.
If it's a retirement tour, if it's your last chance to see him.
Well,
by the way, James Harden, the last American to win MVP 2018.
I don't think that that's as big of a draw as it used to be, the retirement tour. Because every year we keep thinking this is the last year. So I don't think that that's going to be as big of an issue. And do you sacrifice a legitimate roster spot for a marginal player? And again, because people are all over the place about how good he is. I don't know how they could tell considering he hasn't played much college basketball.
The Bucks have Giannis's brother on their team.
Yeah, and what's that got him? I mean, I think that's a different situation because Giannis still has something to offer. And I'm not saying LeBron doesn't, but I think that's a different scenario because they keep thinking Giannis's brother is going to be a more serviceable player. Just like the other brother who played for the Lakers for a minute. They keep thinking that maybe lightning will strike. But those guys are 6'9", 6'10". This guy's 6'1" and a half. And there's a whole big difference in the NBA when you're just 6'1" and a half.
Lakers still don't have a head coach yet. Heard Red Coach K's names and rumblings.
No way he's taking that job. Not at this stage of his life. It doesn't make even remote sense for him to be part of that. Now, the JJ Redick thing has life because he does the podcast with LeBron, but Wouldn't it be nice if they had a guy who had actually coached a team before?
They've had that recently.
Yeah, but not the guys they've hired. Darvin Ham was a first-time guy. Mike Brown was a second-time guy. Frank Vogel was a second-time guy, or third time for Vogel. But they were all with teams that were developing, not ready-made like the Lakers allegedly were. I've said this before. I think Rob Pelinka is more of a concern as far as than whoever the coach is going to be, because Pelinka goes out and gets the players, and they haven't been very good.
You are back on the Cardinals call this
Friday
weekend?
Friday night, John and I had a broadcast. Boston Red Sox in town. Mike Matheny will join Chip Carey and myself for our show at the Bullock right after the game. And it's always good to talk to Mike and have him in town. I'm anxious to talk to him about catching. It's what we discussed earlier and where the game is headed, along with anything else he's doing. He's one of my favorite people on the planet. Mike was a good friend well before he became the Cardinal manager, and I'm looking forward to having him on the show.
All right, that takes place after the Cardinal game on Friday night. Red Sox and Tyler O'Neill in town this this weekend.
Ovation to be like for him.
You know what? I was surprised there wasn't. Rammer and I had talked about this when the White Sox were in town. I thought maybe there'd be a little more for Paul DeJong.
Oh, I thought he was the first game. His first game was a pretty noticeable ovation.
I thought maybe the Cardinals would. I mean, he was an all-star here. He was here for 8 years.
How many all-star games was he?
One. More than Tyler O'Neill was in. And
that's why I'm anxious to hear what the reception is going to be like for him. Because you'll have some people say, did he play for the Cardinals? he was the guy that was always playing. No, I got nothing but love for Tyler. He's one of my favorite guys.
You think? How much is he looking forward to coming back here this weekend, putting on a show?
Anybody who played here wants to.
But just for, how maybe unappreciated it seemed like he was at times,
well,
and maybe he didn't live up to he didn't live up to the hype. I would say because he was hurt. I'm saying, but
unappreciated might be the wrong word here, because here's a guy who was given every opportunity.
Okay, that he didn't do that. He wants to show that he can stay healthy and that he can what his numbers could be.
Then good for him.
Yeah.
It's a long season, contract year for him. And I hope he does well.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he does well. I hope he does even better come next Monday when he's out of here. That's the way I always tell any guy who comes. I hope you have a great season after Sunday. But I thought Paul got a pretty good recognition.
I did.
Yeah. No. Like you said, one all-star game, and he was here for a while. But if you remember those last 3 or 4 years, they were hard to watch.
They were.
So, people have short memories on those sort of things. But, most of the guys who come back, I can't think of one guy who didn't come back that didn't get a reasonable ovation for
no, they'll give him a good hand on
I'm just trying
on
to
Friday
think
night.
Who would you boo if they came back?
Fowler have gotten booed?
No, I think that has so many extenuating circumstances.
The JD Drew, did he get?
We didn't even know who Jake. Yeah, that was pre-Cardinal Nation.
Okay.
I can't think of anyone off the top of my head that would not get a welcome hand.
I'll try to bring it up to Rammer. We'll see. We'll get him involved in this conversation
boo
too.
A guy that didn't play well when you brought him in, but anybody who had an issue with fans and/or media, I can't think of anybody. No. And that's I tip my cap to the Cardinals on trying to bring in character individuals. Mm-hmm. They missed the boat on one guy, Marcelo Zuna. That's the only one I thought they missed the boat on. They didn't know what they had until they got him, and then when they got him, they realized they didn't want to keep him. So, other than that, I think when you look at everybody else who's come through, now granted, they may not have lived up to the expectation, but I don't think they embarrassed the uniform or was combative with fans or media.
All right, that'll be Friday night. Red Sox in town, Cardinals in Anaheim still the rest of this week. Rammer now will be coming your way.
That's a good-looking ballpark for it to be as old as it is.
It really is. Yeah, when you look at some of the list of
falling apart.
I haven't been there in about 20 years, so I don't know any of the renovations they've done.
The last time I was there, it's just got a great scenic background. the arena's right across the street, and they've done a nice job maintaining. What is it? The fourth oldest park in baseball. You got Fenway, Wrigley,
Dodger Stadium. It's up there with Oakland. I mean, is that in Oakland are right around the same time? Oakland. I mean, was it the 60s that one was built?
Yeah, I think it's. Yeah, I think they're the fourth oldest.
Okay, I know we were looking this up. I looked this up recently, and I can't remember where they.
Well, why don't we look it up now?
Right. Because I was looking up how old Great American Ballpark was. I thought Great American Ballpark was a lot older than it was.
No, you have to remember Wrigley. In my lifetime, Riverfront and Crosley Field.
So yeah,
so I'm old. Let me find. You quicker on this than I am. Oldest ballparks in America. This is live podcasting here, folks. Oldest baseball stadium.
Let's see I gave you a little bit of a head start on this. Okay. So in 1966,
stadium is Angel Stadium.
Dodger Stadium, 1962. Angels 66. Yeah. So there you go. We'll finish it up with that. Rammer and I coming here.
We have something to give away to ourselves.
It's I think the rain stopped, slowly stopped. No, so we'll let you go. Rammer and I will be coming your way with Daily Cards Live. Benji Molina joining us on that show. If you missed any part of this program, you can go back, rewatch it on YouTube, listen to it wherever you find Claibs online podcasts. Until then, he is Mike Claiborne. I'm Joe Roderick. We have been powered by Gray Bar, driven by Mungenast St Louis Acura, here on Lunch with Claibs and Joe on claibsonline.com.
Hi everybody, I'm Peter Mungenast with Mungenast St Louis Acura, here to talk to you today about some benefits of Acura's certified pre-owned program. After passing a 182-point multi-point inspection, Acura backs all of our certified pre-owned cars with a 6-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty and a 7-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Mungenast St. Louis Acura has new inventory arriving daily. Come on into Mungenast St. Louis Acura today, meet our award-winning team, and find that perfect certified pre-owned Acura for you.